Dave. Can we make a run to the 6th seed and skip the play-in seed this year in the playoffs, bro? What do you think we need to do to pull that off?
I think we just need to continue doing what we're doing. It's simple, man. The way that we play defense, the way that we play offense, we don't need to hit that 3 to win games. We don't need to hit the 3 to score 110 plus points. Like, that's what this team is so powerful about. And I get excited about it. I get really excited about it because Shea, Dort, Josh, J-Dub, and whoever's playing that middle. We saw last night, we saw Kenny Hustle playing again in that 5 position against Laurie Marketing, who was having a phenomenal game last night. And It's crazy to see how many guys that we're able to throw out there on the court at different positions, and they're able to play it at a very high rate. So to me, we just got to keep doing what we're doing. The Jazz's defense stifled us last night. We can blame it on the lack of shooting threes, but the reality is the way they play defense is truly incredible. And that was what happened. We ran into a well-coached defensive team, and we just hit the wall. It's unfortunate because I felt like we could have got the win. But, man, I don't really want to focus on that. I want to focus on the question that you just said to me. Can we make the 6th seed or higher? And it has to be yes. It has to be a resounding yes. And I listen, if I was a betting person and I had, money that I would be betting on the Thunder being able to do it, I would put a chunk on it. I mean, I would put a chunk on the fact that...
Take our advice for betting, though.
Yeah, don't take my advice for betting unless you want to lose a lot of money. But I would put a chunk on it because here's the reality. Putting $100 on the Thunder, making the 6th seed or higher, could turn out to be a couple $1,000 return. And that's the type of attitude and mentality that this Oklahoma City Thunder guys are at right now, is that they want to prove everybody wrong. They want to prove that they can do it. And it's the youngest core in NBA history. And that's what's so powerful about this, man, is that like these guys are gelling such at a high level, and watching J-Dub and watching Josh Giddey, these guys are playing so well together, and they're still so young.
Yeah, and that's a great answer. I definitely think that, obviously, from a basketball perspective, we need to keep making those strides. From a win total perspective, here's what I wrote down, okay? For us to get there with 24 games left in the season and a current record of 28-30, we need to get to 17-7 or about there in the final 24 games. Okay, that's quite a bit of wins, right? But obviously, there's a big step that needs to be moving up here. We need to move up 3 full games to move into that position. Okay, and to do that, our final record will be 45-37. Now, I'm assuming that we're going to lose a couple games, even the next 2 possibly, okay, and still reach this record. We're talking about Phoenix and the Kings, the first Kings game. We know that those are tough situations. But after that, I think we can get on a run where we beat the Kings, the Lakers, the Jazz twice in a row, okay? I think we have a chance against the Warriors, facing off against them with the lessons learned. That's one thing that you'll notice this whole season is we play better the second time around. Then we come back and play the Suns. We got a chance there. The Pelicans, again, we played them recently and we lost. If we're clicking, we could get on a run. And if we do, it gets soft. It goes Spurs, Nets, Raptors, and then the Suns again, followed by 2 against the Clippers. So the season kind of goes back and forth. So if you kind of start splitting some of these games after there, right, there's an opportunity for us to get on a serious run. Other teams that we would be competing against would be like the Suns and the Mavs, right? Now, if they stayed steady where they are, we would pass them pretty handily. But the odds are they're not going to. One of those teams is probably going to make a move up, and one of those teams might stagnate. So in that case, if they played approximately a little bit better than 500, we'd pass them, but they would need to hold a record of like 13-9 for the Suns or 14-8 for the Mavericks to actually put themselves in a spot where they could hold off against us when we were making a charge like that. So I think that that's actually a little bit higher of basketball than what they're going to do. So I think we can make this run. I think there's also the 5th spot is available. The 4th spot might be available, depending on how these teams play down the stretch. Who do you think will have a chance to really solidify themselves, and who do you think might fall out going forward?
Well, I think you just got to look at the teams that are playing well right now. We've mentioned this before, and it's all about peaking at the right moment. And that's what the NBA is all about. And understanding, like, there are teams right now that are in the top 8 that are, or I would say even the top 10 right now, that are not going to make the playoffs. They're just not, and I keep on going back to it and saying, okay, like, which of these teams do I feel like are least likely to make the playoffs? And I keep on going back and to the Kings. I hate doing it, but like, they're easy picking. I go to the Kings. I go to the Clippers. They're one injury away. I go to, the Phoenix Suns. What happens if Durant goes out there and injured himself and they just traded away 2 of their better players for KD? And now, again, it's all about that stuff. What happens if Joker goes out because of his usage is so high? To me, like, there's so many questions in the last 24 games that, to me, what's possible and who do I think that could actually go and have the same record that we could have if we do things right? 17-7 is a pretty high ask, right? But who else could do this? Well, I look at other teams on there, and there's probably only 2 or 3 teams in the West that would be able to have this type of record. 2 of the teams that I would consider is in the top of the NBA, the West NBA right now. The other team, I would say either the Clippers, or I wouldn't be surprised, and people are going to laugh at me or say whatever you want, but I would not be surprised if something crazy happens with that Lakers team and they get really fucking hot. Like, listen, LeBron James is one of the greatest players of all time. And anytime that you have a greatest player of his all time in the twilight of his career, like, you cannot count him out, because every single time that they have an opportunity to win a championship or compete for a championship, they're going to take it. So do I think the Lakers could do something like that? Possibly. So there's 3 teams that I would look in there and I would circle and say, this is definitely, a possibility, but I think the Thunder have the best shot at 17-7 out of all the other teams. And the reason is because we do have 10 very winnable games that we're playing, and we have 5 games that I would consider like teams like the Clippers and the Pelicans, that are teams that are within 2 games, 3 games of us, and then we have a bunch that are against hard teams like the Suns and teams like that. Listen, this team can get hot and pull off some of the harder wins of the season, that are coming up right now, like this team could pull some crazy wins out. And that's why I get excited about this, is because this is more than just waiting for another team to go 17-7. This is our opportunity. Like, this is our time. Like, watching that team last night and how we were clicking without hitting threes, it was beautiful. Yeah, there was some rough moments, but for most of the game, we didn't even turn the ball over. And I love that, man. Like that's the type of old school hoops I love to watch, man. Yeah, we shot 30+ threes, but we got to the hole, and we got to the hole well. And if we had just shot just a tick up on getting up to 45 or 47% shooting from field goal range, we would have won that game by 20 points. And that's the thing about this team, is that, like, we're so close to clicking like that. And so seeing that last night and seeing how close we were, that we almost pulled out a win, and we were probably playing one of the worst games offensively of the season. And knowing that, it's like, okay, yes, this is possible. Like, this is possible that we can go out and do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a road trip or a series of games, kind of like the January road trip, that really put us on the map for everybody. We were kind of lagging back, and all of a sudden everybody kind of was like, well, this team is going to be in position for a playoff run. So now we're looking at it, and a lot of people are wondering what's going to happen next. Is the team going to break toward the bottom? Because they're looking at it like, well, the bottom's not that far below us, but we're looking at it and we're saying the glass is half full. And we really think this team has a chance to make a move toward the top. And that would surprise everybody. But when we made the playoffs last, how many people were expecting us to get in there? I think we got into the 5th seed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, we were counted out preseason.
The record the projected record was 22 wins that year.
Right. And a lot of people thought, as the season went on, that the team would break toward the bottom. And then as the playoffs got closer, they kept anticipating it. And then all of a sudden we snuck into this really favorable position. And I see the same type of story kind of sitting here. I mean, I'm listening to other podcasts, and they're sitting there saying, "Oh, look at we're so close to the bottom. A couple more decisions, and we'll be really, really at the bottom, and then we could get what we want." And we're looking at it and saying, "Dude, we're poised for a move because these other teams, they're making a lot of assumptions. They're an injury away, and we are prepared to really accelerate through the finish line. And if we do, watch out because we're a tough out in the playoffs."
Yeah, and if you look at how we're structured, we look at the defense, we look at how our offensive scheme is just brilliant. If I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it and saying, okay, these teams I don't want to even face in the playoffs. I don't want to even see them. And a lot of it has to do with how you think it's going to gel. And the Clippers, to me, is one of the teams I would not want to face, right? If you're looking at Clippers, Memphis, and Denver, right? I'm still out there to see what's happening with Phoenix. So those three, though, right, I'm trying to avoid. Now, if you're looking at the bottom half of the teams and you're saying, which teams do I not want to play here? I'll be looking at the Lakers and I'll be looking at us. Maybe the Jazz, if the Jazz sneak in. Like, those are the three teams on the bottom that I'm like, I don't want to have anything to do with that, especially my first round.
Yeah.
And I think that's across the NBA. I don't think that that's something is going to be shocking to anybody that the Oklahoma City Thunder is one of the more scary teams when it comes to playoff basketball because of the way we play, the way that we close out games and make it impossible for teams to just sit back and play their bench players even with a 20-point lead. It's impossible for anybody to relax against the Thunder. And in a 7-game series, that's not the team you want to play in the first round ever.
Right. And that's the type of wild card that we really want to be this year, where, people are kind of like looking at it and like, all right, well, obviously that's not the first round matchup we want because they're going to take everything out of us over a 7-game series and scrap for every loose ball, every game, all the way down to the wire, every game, no matter what the score is. And that's a tough team.
And so the way we play and we get under people's skin, like, you're always afraid that somebody's going to throw a punch in the nuts or someone's going to throw an elbow or someone's going to do this and get, thrown out for multiple games. Like, that's something you get scared about as a coach. You're like, I know these guys are going to push my players. Are my players, going to be able to move past that? In any team that's going to play us, that's one of the things you're going to think about. These guys are going to fuck with my guys. Are my guys going to be able to be man enough to move up and move on? Man, like I say, dude, like, I truly believe a set of testicles, like, people are like, stop being a pussy, right? But, like, in my house, it's stop being a set of testicles because, like, if you barely touch balls, man, like, people are, like, on the ground grabbing their nuts, being like, oh, my God. But pussy can take a pounding, bro. So that's what I'm saying, man, is, like, I won't get into any more details about that, but you don't be a set of testicles around here, bro.
No, dude, you're right about that. And we got a lot of people who are looking to be a set of testicles, and we all want to be pussies, and that's what we're all looking for right here. And that's why you guys join us. There's this type of cutting edge takes right there. But so let's just say this team doesn't make this move. Maybe they kind of sneak into the play-in game and they get bounced, right?
Yeah.
Like, it means that we're competing. One thing a lot of people, may not remember is what we talk about is playoff type basketball. Well, last night was playoff type basketball because,
dude,
you're talking about possession games, overtime, crowds excited, and you're playing games that matter against teams that are competing for those same positions. Because then you have a good, 24 games left of high level of competition. There'll be some games in there that are soft. But most of these games, these teams are trying to win, and that makes it exciting. This is the experience that we can build a team on, and that's what we're getting all hyped up right now.
That's it, man. That's it. And that's why we enjoy you guys. We love you guys, and hopefully you guys will be back tomorrow after the game.